Hello, everyone, and welcome to this candid chat with women leaders at AB InBev. This is part of the Algorithm Initiative, as most of you are aware. I'm very excited to welcome Ankita, Divya, and Shreyoshi onto the show. Hi, Divya, Ankita, and Shreyoshi. Lovely to have you here. And let's get started without further ado. In order to get started, let's start off with some personal questions to get to know you better. So, would like to understand your story. What was your childhood dream? What did you want to grow up to be in terms of your professional life? So, shall we start with Shreyoshi?
Hello, hi Uma. So that's a very interesting question because right, like I'm in HR from AB InBev. So when I was growing up, I did not even know that such a field existed. So I am truly in a place where I never dreamt that I would be at. So my family is from has a background of being doctors and engineers, and my mom is a doctor. So I always thought that I would be a doctor, but then I did not work hard enough apparently to get through. So now this is where I am.
Okay, lovely, Shreyoshi. Thanks for sharing that. Divya, do you want to go next?
Sure, Uma. So, as cliche as it might sound, I wanted to be an air hostess back in my childhood days because I wanted to travel the world for work. But in my teams, it became clear that I will never pass the height criteria, and hence I took the traditional approach, which is, PCM followed by engineering, IT job followed by APA, and MBA was more of a conscious decision out of all. But it was during my engineering days when I was specializing in computer science branch that I realized that I had an interest towards the cybersecurity field. And after doing my MBA, during my placements when AB InBev came to the campus, I just went ahead and I told everything about my interest and my background, and I somehow landed up here where I am currently today. So connecting all the dots, I realized that today it's a mix of what I wanted to do and the alignment of the stars.
Okay, nice to hear that, and I hope your current role is as exciting as the one you dreamt of, and I hope you get to travel the world even while working here. Okay, Ankita, do you want to go next and tell us your story?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Uma, thank you for that question. So, same like Shreyashi, I did not have a definitive plan when I was a child. I didn't want to take up science stream because it was apparently very, very tough, and I really did not want to do that. I did not want to be a geek, so to call. So I took up commerce, and I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but this chartered accountancy course just happened to me by chance. One of the family friends was already a chartered accountant who used to be my tutor, and he guided me through to take chartered accountancy course. I cleared it, did my graduation in BCom honors. So this entire finance stream just happened by chance, after taking commerce stream. So and here I am with AB and Viv as a director, but nowhere in my thoughts or in my mind, I had chartered accountancy as a course when I was a child or back in my fifth or sixth standard.
That's nice to hear, Ankita. Thank you. So,
Thank
Divya, I just got to know that in fact you are a campus hire at AB InBev. You got hired a couple of years ago. So, can you tell us about your journey from being a campus hire to where you are today as a senior manager within your department?
So the journey has quite been an interesting one. In my team, I was the third person to join, though we had a team of vendors out there, but as an employee, I was the third employee. And this was back in 2018, close to 4 years before, when things and processes were still setting up. The zones, our clients, they were not even aware of the existence of our team. And since I work in the cyber security team, I was supposed to protect the company from the cyber attacks, and the cyber attacks, they kept on coming in. And we just did whatever was the best for the company. And from that, today we have a team of 60 plus, and our portfolio has grown manifold during these past 4 years. So two things which really worked for me in throughout was, one was resilience. So even though things were not working, or they were still setting up, just did whatever I was meant to do, or whatever was for the best. And the second one is the confidence, always asking for the things which I felt I deserved. So be it in terms of the hikes or promotions, um, I always felt that if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So close to 4 years, the journey has been from senior specialist to manager, and currently senior manager.
Great, Divya. In fact, your statement around asking for what you want, right? I think that is an extremely important learning for all of us. It's so important to ask for what you want. You should never hesitate. And can you tell us a little more about what you do today in your current role as senior manager?
So in one line, I protect the beers and cheers of AB InBev. So to elaborate more, within AB InBev, as we all know, there are 200 plus breweries out there, and each of the brewery, they have we have machines connected over a network, and the risk is that if an attacker gets inside of this network, they can cause a major disruption and business loss. So my role as a senior manager, cyber security operations, is to put the defense layers, proactive measures in place to thwart these attacks, and also make sure that there is an incident response team, well skilled, well equipped to handle any situation if anything goes wrong, if there is any kind of attack malware found in our environment.
Sounds very interesting, Divya. Thanks for sharing that. Shreyoshi, I remember when we were chatting a couple of days ago, you mentioned that you made a huge pivot in your career from a completely different industry to the one you're in currently. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and what you do today and what you like about your role?
So, like I was telling you earlier, right? Like I come from a family of doctors and engineers. So, because I could not become a doctor, I became an engineer, right? And then when I went into the college, I realized that for the lack of a better word, I sucked at it, right? I had zero aptitude for being an engineer, but somehow I passed, right? Like I got through Infosys and I joined Infosys. And there also the situation was same. Thank God I had a very good team lead who was very supportive. He also understood that I needed to like do something else, right? So he gave me a lot of support when I practiced for CAT, ZAT, right? Like because for me, I felt that when I was an engineer in Infosys, I was not very good at the work aspect, but I was very active in the activities aspect, right? So if there was a treasure hunt, like I was the one who was doing that for my department. If there was a MasterChef competition, I was the one going from my department. And I thought at that time, so if I can make my money making an official career out of those things. So that was my idea of what an HR was at that time, but obviously now I know it's a lot more. So I gave my cat went it was awful, right? But somehow I got through that. I scored really well and I got into HR. I was very clear from the beginning, even though I got into business and finance and all of that, that I would go into HR because I was very bad at maths also, unfortunately. So I went into HR, and then again, like Divya, I got my PPO from XIMB. I joined Tata Steel, and through different steps, other steps in my career, I now I'm in AB InBev, right? Like, and I really love my job. I know right now that there is more to HR than a Rangoli competition, definitely, right? And we do a lot of amazing things here in AB InBev, and I really love my role. I love the impact that my role has in the organization. I get to do a lot of very cool initiatives, and the best thing about the organization here is that if you come up with an idea and you can implement it, right, you are given complete ownership and freedom to go ahead with it, right? And there is immense support there, but then you have to own the failures as well, right? Like it's a opportunity cost kind of a thing. So I get to do a lot of amazing things here in the people team. I have been able to work with the team to implement some very good platforms, inject tech into HR, which will help drive business value, drive analytics and people decisions, right? So I'm very happy where I am right now.
Nice to hear that, Shreyoshi. Thanks for sharing. Ankita, each one of us has a different leadership style, right? And our style evolves over time. So, what is your style like? How did you identify your leadership style? And can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So first of all, I would just want to kind of elaborate on my leadership journey here and at AB InBev. So I've been associated with AB InBev for almost 4 years now. I joined back in 2018, and it's 2022, and I became a director last year during the conclusion or the end of my maternity leaves. I had gone on my maternity leaves, and that's when this opportunity knocked my doors. That's when I got into the leadership role, so to say. So I had been, in various roles in AB InBev, and as Shreyashi mentioned, I also took a very swift change from, from my earlier career to the place where I am now. I think over a period of time, I realized the kind of leadership style that I have is that I want to give a lot of freedom to my team to work, right? I give them free hand to do whatever they want to come up with new ideas, bring about a change. But yes, they have to, come forward to bring about that change. That is something which I look forward to. So that's my leadership style, giving a lot of space and a lot of freedom to my team to bring about a change and get the transformation done.
That's nice, Ankita. It's always good to give freedom. And I think as an employee and a team member, I'm sure your team members appreciate it quite a lot.
Absolutely.
Divya, do you have anything unique about your leadership style that you think you would like to mention?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the ownership and accountability to my reportees. I think something very similar to what Ankita said, because I feel partly because it's the culture of ABI. The culture of ABI is like that. We have ownership in the blood of every employee, I feel. And I got this leadership style from my own manager. And I think it brought out the best in me, so I try to do the same for my reportees as well, hold them accountable for everything they're doing, and any kind of project or anything is there, making them the owners.
Okay, that sounds good. Shreyoshi, what would you like to add to this?
So, so my leadership style is preparing for the worst case scenario, right? I completely believe in Murphy's law that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, like, right? So whenever I'm implementing anything big, right, doing anything change management, I always imagine what the worst case scenario is going to be, and I prepare myself according to that. That has really, I think, helped me so far. The other thing that I do is I like to collaborate, right? Like I do not direct, but I and currently I'm in a team where I have a lot of uh, influence, but not that much of an authority. So I have a lot of diverse teams that I work with, but I do not have a team reporting to me. So how do I kind of like have that same impact and drive the same amount of work without having direct reportees under me is something that I have also kind of like learned here, right? And I feel that is also very important, that how do you have that influence or impact in driving projects when you do not have that reporting manager, reportee kind of a relationship. So these are a couple of things that I do.
Very interesting. And listening to all of you, it does seem like the culture of ABI is very open and there is a lot of freedom given to people as long as they are delivering results. So, very nice to hear that. And a good message for all those of you out there who are looking to apply to AB InBev. So, now that we've done with a couple of serious questions, let's get to a little bit of fun. So, if we are ready, we'll bring up a quiz for us. So let's just wait for it to come up. I'll tell you how this will work. So here is just an example. The name of the quiz is Who is this lady? We'll show you a picture like this. and you then identify who this person is. Um,
Whitney Houston.
that was easy. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Yeah, can you guess who the lady in this picture is? She comes from the same city as all of you, the city of Bangalore.
I
She's an
have
author.
absolutely no
No
idea.
idea.
She's an
No
author. She
clue.
is.
Seriously, no clue.
Okay, she's been part of one of the largest IT companies that
Sudha
started.
Murthy.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Okay, great. That's 1 point to Shreyoshi. Now, yeah, who's the lady in this picture? She's another famous business leader, not just in India but globally. Has been the CEO of one of the largest consumer goods companies in the world.
Indra
Indra
Nooyi.
Nui?
Indra Nooyi,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
So who said it first? Was that Divya or Shreyoshi?
I think you can split point 0.5, point
Okay,
0.5.
Point five.
we'll
We're
split
okay with
it.
point 0.5. Yes.
I'm
So
happy with point 0.5.
yeah, Shreyoshi is still leading with 1.5. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Well,
Jayalalitha.
the person on the left we all know. So let's look at the person on the right and guess who she is. She's been in the news this week too, earlier this week.
But why all these pictures are like old pictures?
Yeah.
So
To give our
difficult to
brains,
recognize them.
to give
Yeah.
ourselves some work.
Mm,
The lady on the right was in the news earlier this week. She holds a position of power.
Sitharaman.
Yeah, she's on a roll here.
Ah, I
Okay,
forgot. Yeah.
okay, so we go to the next one. Okay,
Give me some hint.
this one I am also looking at for the first time, so I
Is
probably
this Saina
I,
Nehwal?
mm,
I need some hints.
Is this Saina Nehwal? I don't know. Looks like.
is it Saina Nehwal? Let me just check. Okay, my team has just sprung this on me too, so I'm asking who it is. Okay, we have one.
Oh,
Ah,
Oh, that is Kamala Harris. Okay.
Kamala Harris. Okay.
Okay, great. And the last one, we have, I think, one more to go. Yeah, this lady is also from your city of Bangalore.
more hints, more hints.
She's one of the most inspiring entrepreneurs, not only in the country but also across the world. And
Kiran
Is
she's
she
Mazumdar
Kiran
Shah.
Mazumdar?
yes, yes. Okay, great.
Ah,
So she's won this
Yes.
quiz. Great.
as you can see, I'm not a very humble winner.
No, no, you deserve it. That's nice.
Well done.
Okay, so with that, we get back to some more interesting questions. All of us throughout the course of our career, especially when we're taking on anything challenging, have moments of self-doubt, right? Before our confidence kicks in. So, can you talk about any moments of self-doubt that you have experienced and how did you manage? Shreyoshi, do you want to go with it?
Yeah, like I was telling you, I think around 7, 8 years ago when I was in Infosys, I think it was the first time I tasted any sort of failure, right? Because I've always been academically very good. So coming to the workplace and realizing that you're not good enough, right? Like that really hit hard. But then I have always been optimistic, right? Like so I kind of like decided that I cannot be in a career where I am never not going to be good enough, right? So that's what prompted my decision to start looking out and see what are other avenues available for me, and kind of like go through the MBA route, right? Like, so I think that is very important, right? Always try to make the best of any situation you are at. But if you feel that it's never going to work out, right? Always be ready to make cut your losses and start something fresh, because we all want to be really good, but we want to be in a place where when we have a career, right, we are doing really well for ourselves, because otherwise it's a very I think it's a very kind of like a sad situation to be at, that your career is something where you're not doing well.
Thanks for sharing that, Shreyoshi. And it's so important. It takes a lot of courage also, to make that pivot in your career, because it comes with a lot of risks. You're never not sure what the future holds. So thanks for sharing that. Divya, do you want to talk about any moment of vulnerability that you experienced in your career, and how did you handle it?
So Uma, back in my first company, when I was a fresher, I faced a, you can say, a challenge, and it was a challenge for me how to gel with. So I was in a team of just male colleagues around me, and I remember every evening they would go out for a smoke. Okay, and since I did not smoke and I could not relate to it, they did not ask me, and even I did not volunteer to go out with them, and I felt as if I'm not bonding well with them because of this. Because they might be going out there, they might be discussing things which are related to my team working, and I might be left out in certain of the conversation. I think I was doing a lot of overthinking at that point of time, but because of that, I felt really underconfident in talking to them, because I always felt that there is something which I don't know. There was a fear of missing out, you can say. But I think over the time I overcame just by establishing my relationship one on one with each of the colleagues, and that really helped. That helped me regaining my confidence, and even after that, it never affected me how many times, no matter how many times of the day they went out.
Thanks for sharing that, Divya. And like you said, it's extremely important to build your network within the organization. It's important to connect with people, not just in your team, but in other teams within the organization. So, thanks for sharing that experience and the learning. Now, all of us realize, right, as we proceed in our career journey, sometimes we wonder, how would our career have shaped up had we known these things 10 years ago, or when we started our career. So, if you had a chance to look back at a younger version of you that was starting off her career, what are three pieces of advice you would give to her? Ankita, shall we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So I think one piece of advice that I have, to give to the younger audience who's a part of this session today is, I think, building the network. I think that is something which I really missed out on in the early days of my career. Not networking much with people, and just being limited to yourself and to your work in the organization, which really does not help. Later in my career, I did realize, with a lot of guidance from my mentors, from my managers, from my supervisors, that it's very, very important to grow your network, and to speak to as many people as you can, and grow your career, build your network within the organization and outside the organization. It really helps you grow your career. So I think networking is really, really important, especially in corporates. Really takes you really ahead in the career. That's what I realized, a little late in my life, but that's the piece of advice that I would want to give to the younger audience here.
Thanks, Ankita. Shreyoshi, what would you like to tell the younger version of you?
I think for me, and when I look back, right, like I think one thing that I would definitely tell my younger self is to keep on persevering, keep on working hard, right? Because when you're in an organization, things keep on changing, right? You're not in like full control of whatever is happening. Like your leadership will change, the circumstances of your work will change, the kind of business that you are in, whichever company, that might also change, right? So I think the most important thing is to keep on working hard, keep on driving value, right? And whatever the changes are, even sometimes if it feels like there is no light at the end of the tunnel, right? But if you keep on working hard, things do work out. I have also been in situations where like things have been difficult, right? Like for example, when I was in Tata Steel, I was in a place called Jharia, which is an underground coal mine, right? And I was working with almost like uh, 15,000 people, and I was one of the only female officers there. So even there, there was a lot of hardship there, and it was not a very kind of like fun environment that I'd imagined myself working in when I was dreaming of doing a corporate job, right? But I think wherever you are, you can always think about, if that situation is not under your control, what can you do to get some value out of it, right? Like how can you turn this into your own advantage? So what I started doing was I started taking on projects there, taking a lot of initiatives there, which would bolster up my profile, bolster up my CV, and that is what I continue to do even now. So even if I know in the future something happens, leadership changes, team changes, I will continue to keep on delivering, working hard, taking new initiatives, and I know somewhere towards the end it will always work out.
Thanks, Shreyoshi. Very valuable inputs. It makes sense for us to keep adding to our skill set, keep adding to our experience set. So it will come in handy at some point in our career. Divya, any learnings from your side?
I think one advice which I would like to give the young audience or a younger version of myself would be um, to document how you are feeling right now. Sometimes I simply write an email to myself on my personal email ID. If there is something specific, if there is a specific feeling, or how the day went by, or I also save appreciation emails. Sometimes you get an appreciation email or text from your colleagues or your from the zones, so I just save it and I keep it in a folder, so that helps me in looking back to see how far I have come, and get me motivated whenever I need that booster of motivation. Because I feel within life we go through a lot of phases, ups and downs, but at some point of time we start forgetting them as well, and we remember the most recent ones or most important things which happened. But it's good to have all kind of feelings or kind of things happening with you documented, so that you can go back to it and refer it, and just connect the dots.
That's such a refreshing thought, Divya. Thanks for sharing. And not just for the younger crowd, I think that's a great learning for all of us out here. It's actually very nice to keep track of where you are today. And if you come back and look at it a few years down the line, then it actually gives you so many valuable learnings. So thanks for sharing that. Before we move on to a few other questions, for all the audience who is here, who is part of the algorithm initiative, people who have applied to join AB InBev, what suggestions would you have, Ankita, Shreyoshi, and Divya, when you are hiring people in your team? What kind of skills, attitudes do you look for? Ankita, shall we start with you?
Yeah, I think one of the principles that we have is dreaming big. We see how big is the vision of the person. Where does the person see himself or herself? 10 years down the line. We want people who dream big, who think big, and have bigger goals in their life, be it a personal goal or a professional goal. So that's the culture we promote here in AB and Bev. And if we have such kind of people, it's our responsibility as leaders to make that really happen for our employees. If they are willing to give in their best, we are really there for them to make that happen for them. So that's the kind of people that we look out for: people who dream big, people who can accept challenges, and people who can really put in their best foot forward in the organization.
Thanks, Ankita. That's a very valuable input to everyone out there. Shreyoshi, what would you say? What would do you look for when you're hiring someone into your team?
No, completely in line with Ankita, right? Like for us, like at least in Bev, we believe that people can be skilled, right? Like we don't look into the skills that much. Plus minus 20%, it's fine, right? What is more important is the will factor, right? Like the 10 principles that we have in Bev, these are not just tenets which are in our website, right? We live and breathe by those principles. Any initiative that we do, we try to make sure that it's ticking all the right boxes there, right? So ownership, resilience, because the world that we are living in is so VUCA right now, right? Like it's so volatile. So having that resilience to take an initiative and run with it, like whether there are lots of obstacles in your path, always putting the customer first, whoever they might be, right? For me, for example, our employees are my customer, right? Always having an employee first mindset, right? So those values or principles are the ones that we kind of like target most towards. So our cultural interview round is like very strong, and that's like the make or break kind of a thing. Because skills, we know, like people can, if you have the right mindset, you will be like, this is like a continuous journey, right? Skilling yourself. And we also believe in always hiring people who are better than ourselves. So that's also one of our principles, right? We hire people who are better than ourselves. So our hiring processes are fixed in that way, so that when we are hiring people, we can proudly say that yes, 1 year down the line, that person is going to be better than me in my role, right, as my successor. So these are some of the things that we generally look for.
That's nice, Shreyoshi. In fact, that last point, hiring someone better than you, that's a very inspiring thought. Thanks for sharing that. Divya, would you like to add? What do you evaluate when you're looking to hire someone?
Yeah, generally it would be the openness to contrasting ideas, because I believe in a teamwork, this is very important that every member is open to listen to the other member's ideas, and somehow accommodate that or come to a middle ground if they have a contrasting idea. And the other thing is that as the technology is growing, there are a lot of things which we need to unlearn and relearn now. We need to catch up with the pace of the technology. So this is something which I again look that whoever is coming into my team is willing to unlearn and relearn and catch up with the pace of the technology out there.
There's a lot of comments coming up saying these are valuable inputs. What other advice would you all have, considering ABI has launched the algorithm initiative to hire bright talent from engineering colleges across India? And, thousands of people have applied for this initiative. What is your advice to the engineers who applied? Divya, do you want to go first?
I just would want them to join the company uh, and experience the points which we are talking about here. I think every employee of this company is proud to be part of it, and that energy is infectious. Uh, the company is of a meritocratic culture, so you have to work hard, and if you work hard you will be rewarded for sure. So there's always a motivation to work hard irrespective of the years of work ex or your age or gender or whatsoever.
Great. Ankita, what is your advice for those who have applied?
Yeah, I think one thing that people can look forward to in this company is equal opportunities for all. This is a company which doesn't believe in any sort of inequality, be it gender, be it religion-wise, culture-wise, anything for that matter. And I am a live example of that. This company really believes in giving the right set of opportunities to the right people basis the merits. As Divya also mentioned, we are a company which believes in meritocracy. We really do not give any extra privileges also to women, but we treat them as equal. Of course, then there are certain phases in a woman's life, which kind of make or break the career for a woman. That is the place, wherein AB and Bev really goes an extra mile to support and to accommodate, for that particular person, for that woman, for that matter, which has also happened with me. I came back from my maternity leaves, and I'm a live example, and the company really accommodated a lot in terms of arranging a lot of things for me in the organization so that I could comfortably come back physically in office, and completely take charge of my career. So this is a company which completely believes in equality, and definitely meritocracy. So this is something that every woman who wants to join AB and Bev can look forward to.
Thanks, Ankita. And that's an inspiring story about you coming back from maternity leave and getting to take on a much larger position. Thanks for sharing that. Shreyoshi, what is your advice for those who've applied for algorithm?
So my advice is a bit different, right? It's for those people who have applied but do not get through, right? In the sad possibility that you don't get through, don't lose hope. So when I was in XIMB, Eben Bev came to my campus. I gave an interview. I did not get through, right? But I really love the organization. And now, like 6 years after campus, I got my chance, right? So wherever you land up, work hard, keep on upskilling yourself, keep on trying new things. If you really aspire towards something, right, like Shahrukh Khan says, right, if you believe in something, if you keep working hard towards it, things will happen, right? Else pictures, क्या बोलते हैं, picture अभी बाकी है मेरे दोस्त, right? So just keep on working towards it. Wherever you land up, if you keep on working, you things will work out in the end.
Thanks, Shreyoshi. Very inspiring. Now, as we are on the 2nd of March, very soon the International Women's Day is coming up, right? Next week. Shreyoshi, this question is for you. Do you think we need a separate day to celebrate women? What are your thoughts on Women's Day?
So I read somewhere that in United States of India there are more people with the name of John as compared to the number of women leaders in United States, which is like one of the top countries in the world, right? So till we see that needle movement, right? Like till we actually have an environment or a world which is completely inclusive, completely equitable, and like diverse in the right ways, we need to keep on having this Women's Day. If nothing else, just to make sure that that conversation is not dying down, that we women or diversity is very important everywhere we are, right? Even in organizations, even in the society, any place that there is. So till there is that parity available, till the pay gap is reduced, right? Till we have the same platform, even in entertainment, right? Like even in the Oscars, wherever, right? Like all the Golden Globes, right? We need to have these things there so that the conversation happens.
Great points, Shreyoshi. Nice to hear that. Thank you. Divya, this question is for you. Why do you think there is such a large gender gap when it comes to leadership levels? What do you think are the reasons that we see such few women at senior levels?
I think, in my point of view, there will be two reasons. So, one is that the lack of priority at the management level to have more women at the top. So that would cascade down to the mentoring and the coaching, which should be given to the women, which can be given to the women employees who are ambitious enough, who are ambitious to go on top. And the second one is that within a lot of us women also, the lack of ambitious mindset, which again can be supported with the constant coachings and mentoring sessions. So it works both ways. When we see more women leaders are on the top, we become even more ambitious to reach the top. So we need to have more women, we need to prioritize having more women leaders, pay more attention to why, and what we can do to bring out more women, and instill them with enough confidence so that they know that yes, they can lead, they can be working well and managing their personal life while being at the top.
Great points, Divya. Thanks for sharing that. Ankita, would you like to add to this? What do you think organizations can do to bring more women into leadership?
Yeah, I think simple lack of support from family or from the organization itself kind of leads to a lot of women giving up on their career, and that is something that really needs to change, and not only in terms of only talking, but really delivering results. AB and Bev is one of these companies which really believes in delivering what they say. simple things, for example, if a woman is going on maternity leaves, and when she's back to join her career, making simple arrangements in office, accommodating and being a little flexible with respect to the work hours, giving that confidence, from the management to the person that, please, work as per your convenience for the next 6 months or 1 year, and thereafter you can take full charge of your career. Simple things like these, can really help women take up leadership roles. And of course, a lot of support is required also from the family members. Family members need to take up a lot of more charge, when they really want their women to be at the leadership level. They really need to kind of, take some extra steps to ensure that they take up the family work and they take up the household work, which supposedly the woman is supposed to do, and so that she can go ahead and deliver good things in the organization. I think that is something which really needs to come across well. And then second, I think, is also the lack of confidence in the women themselves, because they do not get support from their family, from the organization. So explicitly, women themselves kind of assume that they will not be able to double hat, their household things, manage their family, child, and at the same time manage their career. That's where, again, the family and the organization needs to rebuild that confidence in the woman that, yes, you can do this and you can really fly high along with, managing your house and doing this at the same time. So I think we ourselves also need to kind of trust ourselves that yes, we will be able to take it up. Of course, the initial few months, when you have to do such kind of things, are little challenging, but when you are really able to pass through that, then you really come out with flying colors. So I think it is both ways. We as women also need to have that confidence in ourselves, and a lot of support is required from the family as well as the organization.
Thanks, Ankita. You brought out some very important points, and I'm sure everyone listening to this would also benefit from this advice that we're hearing. We at the Star and Me have been partnering with AB InBev on diversity and inclusion initiatives for the past couple of years. In fact, I remember last year in March when we had a panel discussion with women leaders. There were two women in ABI at director level, and I understand that this year, as we are approaching the panel discussion next week, you now have seven directors, seven women at director level. So that's a huge achievement. So congratulations to all of you. And Shreyoshi, since you are in the human resources department, can you tell us about a few initiatives that AB InBev is running to encourage and ensure that you help develop more women and get them to leadership levels?
So that's a very good question, right? Like we in ABNBev, we don't believe in creating just diversity and inclusion policies in silos, right? So any policy that we are creating, we are looking at it from a lens of inclusion to see whether everybody is included, right? And that just does not mean gender. That also means any different thoughts, any different backgrounds, right? So one is that like we are trying to create very inclusive policies. Apart from that, we do provide a lot of uh, uh, facilities or a lot of benefits to women, because whether we are equal in every way, right, to men, but however our playing field is not equal, right? The kind of support system that a woman has at her home is very different from the kind of support system even now that men have at had their homes, right? So how do we make that playing field level in the organization, right? So we are trying to do it in many ways. So last year we launched a ramp up to work, right? Even after 6 months of maternity leave, when a woman comes back to the organization, there's a very uh, huge transition, right? So we have a very flexible ramp up to work policy where women can take it slow for the first 3 weeks, even after the return from maternity, ramp up gradually to kind of like take in more and more responsibilities till they're finally comfortable. So that is one of them. Then we have also increased paternity leave to 4 weeks from 1 week, right? Because we feel that like it really does take a village to raise a child, and it's not the sole responsibility of the mother, right? It's the father has an equal or more important role to play there as well. So we are making sure that all the men have enough time to take away and spend time with their newborns. Apart from that, even our even our insurance or our medical benefits that we are providing are very inclusive. We are providing reimbursement for gender reassignment surgeries, right? We are also providing special insurance for specially abled employees, or if their families have somebody who's like specially able, right? We are making sure that we are providing them that support financially. Apart from that, from employees perspective, and I can talk on and on because we are doing a lot of stuff in AB InBev, right? We have a special development program in place, and that is in association with Star in Me, right? Like we are calling it ACE, right? Fast Track and Flying Start. So we have two programs for women. One who want to, like, who are now in the leadership pipeline. How do we groom them to become ready to have that leadership role? And one for women who are already in that leadership role. How do we kind of like make sure that they have all the tools available for them to get the best out of the role, right? And that includes some functional training, some behavioral training, some leadership trainings, everything. Apart from that, we also engage our employees and we keep on talking about this, because the more we talk about it, the more employees remember that more employees need to will understand that how important it is. So any initiative, whether we have DNI week, we have Pride Month, we have even International Men's Day, we keep on having those discussions, that and we feel that we slowly move the needle. The most important thing that the leadership has done, because diversity and inclusion cannot happen without leadership buy-in, right? So at the beginning of 2021, we set a target, right? We all wanted to have a diverse and inclusive workforce, but how do we do that? We set a target that by the end of 2021, by the end of 2022, this is the percentage of women that we want in the organization. While it's still far away from the ideal, but it has really moved the needle now. So in 2020, we had around 20% women in the organization. Right now, we have 30% women in the organization. Our women leadership has also moved by almost 6, 7 percentage points, right? So it's still a battle, but we are fighting. And I know by 2025, the landscape of leadership in ABNBev will be very different.
Thanks, Shreyoshi. A lot of valuable insights there that many other organizations can also look at implementing. Thanks for sharing that. Now, if you were to look back on your career journey, and this question is for all of you, can you think of one person who has played a significant role, who has been a significant ally to help you get to where you are today? So, Divya, do you want to go first? You're on mute, Divya.
Yeah. So one person who I really look up to and who helped me a lot in my career journey unintentionally, because that person doesn't know it the way I feel about it, is my mom. So my mom used to teach scripting in coding to the students, and I remember during my childhood days she would teach and then come back and prepare for the next day, and she would do it day after day and years after years. Later she completed her mtech and that time she was 40, and a 40-year-old completing mtech within a batch of students who are some 20 somethings. So basically she taught me, she showed me how to survive in any uncomfortable situation and do things you want to do irrespective of what people around you think about it. So yeah, it would be my mom who played an important role in my career success until now.
Thanks, Divya. And do make it a point to tell her this today, if she doesn't already know. Okay, great. Ankita, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I think before my marriage, definitely my parents, who helped me come to a level where I was at that point in time. There were a lot of ups and downs, in terms of, academics, in terms of pursuing careers, but they always stood by my side, So I think someone also mentioned I was a top performer all throughout my academics, and then chartered accountancy course happened to me, which is not a very easy course. The passing percentage is literally in single digits, and that's the first time when I tasted of what failure means. The first attempt that I gave of the final examination, which could have made me the chartered accountant in the first attempt, I failed that examination by just 4 points, I think. And then I cleared my examination in the second attempt. I think that's the time when I really gave up, in the entire course, like going through that journey for 5 years and then giving up on that course right in the end, I think was really, really a low point of my life. That's where my parents really stood by my side and, kind of pushed me to still pursue it. And eventually I did clear it. So before marriage, definitely my parents, and I think after marriage, definitely my husband. I think a lot of career growth happened to me after my marriage in the last 3-4 years. Then, of course, my baby happened and everything. So my husband has been very, very supportive of any career decisions that I had taken. This leadership role, the new role that I'm already working on, just happened when my maternity was coming to an end. I was a little skeptical to take up this role, given that it was a big position, and I was coming back after having a baby. I was not very sure whether I would be able to do justice to that role. But my husband really pushed me to take this up, and ensuring and assuring me that he is going to be there for me and taking care of the baby whenever needed. And right now also he's helping me out with the baby while she's making noise outside. So I think family played a big, big role in kind of uh, building my career. First the parents, and then definitely my husband.
Thanks, Ankita. So nice to hear that. Shreyoshi, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I think like Ankita said, right? Like family, obviously, right? My family, we are two sisters, right? And we are from a small town, a tier two city. And my schooling has been for the first 10, 12 years with a girls' school, right? So I never ever felt that I was second to any other man or a boy, right? Like that feeling I had never gone through. So that is what I think, like in my formative years, gave me that sense of confidence, right? Which is very difficult to build if you don't have that uh, backing in the beginning. And then now, obviously, now that I'm married, like my husband is the same, right? I have never ever felt that I needed to justify why I wanted to do something and who will do what at home. Everything has been very organic for me. And anywhere I have gone to, and I think that's why I appreciate the struggles of women who don't have that, right? Like because any organization I've been in, they have been very, very focused on diversity. Any of my bosses, the leadership that I've worked with, I've never, like, very rarely been in a situation where uh, the leadership has not given me that support, right? So I count myself to be very lucky. I know that it's not the same everywhere, but I think corporate India there is really trying to level the playing field by at least having these conversations, having different sorts of policies, trainings, all of that. So I hope everyone has the same kind of privilege that I have had. Like I'm really thankful for that.
Great. So, on that positive note, I think we can bring an end to today's conversation. Thanks to all of you for being so candid and sharing all your learnings throughout your careers. I'm sure everyone watching this show today and those who will watch the recorded show a little later will take away a lot of learnings that they can apply in their own professional lives too. And gauging by everything that all of you have said, wishing everyone who's applied to algorithm all the best. I hope you make it to ABI and enjoy working there. So thank you so much. Lovely meeting you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you, and
Thank
happy Women's Day
you.
to
It's been a
everyone.
pleasure.